If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. It would really help the channel, and we have battle reports, boarding actions, and list videos every week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. This video is an overview of a 1000 point Adeptus Custodes shield host list. The list is aimed more at a competitive game than a casual game. A lot of the units I consider top units for the Custodes in this list. I will quickly go over the army and detachment rule, as well as the enhancement and stratagems for the shield host detachment. We then go over the units in the list with a breakdown of how the detachment benefits this list. The Adeptus Custodes army rule is martial kata. Each time a unit from your army with this ability is selected to fight, select one of the kata stances. Until that unit has finished making its attacks, the selected stance is active for it and it gains the relevant ability. Venatari stance. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Rendak stance. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Lethal Hits ability. Great army rule to boost our melee damage potential. If we'll be wounding on a 4 or less, pick Sustained 1. If it's 5 or 6s, pick Lethal Hits. The shield host detachment rule is called Martial Mastery. At the start of the battle round, you can select one of the bullet points below. If you do so until the start of the next battle round, that bullet point effects apply. Each Adeptus Custodes model with the Martial Kata ability, melee weapons equipped by that model gain the critical hits on 5 ability, or you could pick each Adeptus Custodes model with the Martial Kata ability, melee weapons equipped by that model gain +1 AP. Usually I like to pick the crits on 5s, but into vehicles or something with a high save like a 2+ but no invulnerable, you may want to pick the +1 AP. Now let's go over the list itself. It is 1000 points exactly. I've named this one the Knight Stodes. Our Warlord is a Blade Champion with the Auric Mantle Enhancement, giving him 2 extra wounds. For our battle line, we have 4 Custodian Guard. 3 of them have the Sentinel Blade with the shield. The final one has a shield, Vexilla, and the Misericordia. For our other data sheets, we have 4 Custodian Wardens. All of them have a Guardian Spear, and one of them has the Vexilla. We have 3 Venatari with 3 Venatari Lances. And for our allied units, we have a Subductor Squad, Inquisitor Draxus to join that Custodian Guard squad. Then we have an Armiger Warglaive. It has a Melta-Gun with the Reaper Chain Cleaver and a Thermal Spear. And once again, that comes to 1000 points exactly. Let's quickly go over the enhancement and the 6 stratagems in the shield host detachment. The enhancement that I did take is Auric Mantle, giving 2 extra wounds to the Blade Champion, bringing him up to 8 wounds. Our first stratagem is Arcane Genetic Alchemy. This can be used in any phase after mortal wounds have been allocated to a unit, and it gives that unit a 4 feel no pain to mortal wounds. Next up is Archaeotech Munitions. In your shooting phase, one Adeptus Custodes unit can get Lethal Hits or Sustained Hits 1 ability on their ranged weapons. Avenge the Fallen for 1 CP. The start of the fight phase, one Adeptus Custodes unit from an army that is below starting strength. You can add 1 extra attack to the melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. If that unit is below half strength, you can add 2 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons in that unit instead. Multi-potentiality for 1 CP, and this is our fallback shoot and charge stratagem. Unwavering Sentinels for 1 CP. In the fight phase, if one Adeptus Custodes infantry unit is on an objective that we control, we can have -1 to the incoming melee attacks for that unit. Then last, we have Vigilance Eternal for 1 CP. In your movement phase, one Adeptus Custodes battle line unit from your army that is within range of an objective marker you control. So the only battle line we have is the Custodian Guard, and that objective marker remains under your control, even if you have no models within range of it. So that is sticky objectives. That is the 6 stratagems. Let's move on to the actual units. Let's start with our Warlord, the Blade Champion, and he's going to be joined to the 4 Custodian Wardens. The Blade Champion can be changed to Valerian as another option if we want to. The Blade Champion has the Auric Mantle Enhancement, giving it a total of 8 wounds, much harder to precision out of the unit. We'll take a look at the data sheets here. The Blade Champion has no ranged abilities. It does have 3 melee weapons. The one I like to highlight is Victus for devastating wounds, 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP 3, damage 3, and that AP 3, damage 3 with devastating wounds. This thing can spike into a large amount of wounds. For the abilities for the Blade Champion, we have Swift Onslaught, While this model is leading a unit, you can reroll the charge roll made for that unit. Then we have Martial Inspiration. Once per battle in your charge phase, this model's unit is eligible to declare charge in a turn which it advanced. Very useful for a slow movement of 6 walking up the board army, and it will give this unit a potential 24-inch threat range. So you could advance 6, get a 12-inch movement, and then roll a 12 on the charge. Probably not happening, but there is a potential 24-inch threat range. Then we have the Custodian Wardens. They have the 2-up save with a 4-up and invulnerable, 3 wounds. We have Guardian Spears with them, so there's 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 7, AP 2, damage 2. The abilities for the Wardens, we have Resolute Will. While a character is leading this unit, each time an attack targets this unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Then we have Living Fortress. Once per battle at the start of any phase, this unit can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, models in this unit have a 4+ Feel No Pain ability. Combine those two abilities, it makes a very tanky unit. These two units combined give us a unit who can advance and charge once per game, reroll charges all game, the Wardens giving the unit really good survivability, the Bladechampion adding some extra punch in combat. Arcane Genetic Alchemy for 1 CP can be used to protect from mortal wounds. We can save the Wardens 4-up Feel No Pain until the unit needs some protection from a phase of shooting or melee combat. Unwavering Sentinels for 1 CP can be used to give this unit more survivability in the fight phase. We have to be within range of an objective marker we control to use this stratagem though. Multi-potentiality is great for keeping this unit from being stuck in combat. Use this stratagem to fall back, shoot, and then charge back in for fights first. We can even fall back to steal objectives or complete secondaries. We do not always need to charge right back into combat. Avenge the Fallen for 1 CP can be situational. The Bladechampion getting an extra attack or 2 could tilt a combat to a win. Still though, I feel it would be rare when we want to burn 1 CP on this stratagem. If we had a shield captain to use it for 0 CP, it would be a better option. And this will be the toughest unit in the list, thus making it the best option for holding dangerous objectives. The Wardens once per game, 4-up Feel No Pain, with the Bladechampion in the unit, will make our opponent think twice about charging this unit, even more so if we are on objective we control, allowing to use that Unwavering Sentinels for -1 to the hit roll to melee attacks. The Wardens can equip that 1 Vexilla, as well as the Guardian Spears, giving the unit a total of 20 Guardian Spear attacks, with a total of 15 OC, including the Bladechampion. The Detachment rule Martial Mastery helps add some more potential damage in the combat phase. Valerian would make this unit truly terrible to charge into, giving the unit -1 AP to incoming melee attacks. It is really your choice between a Bladechampion or Valerian. Next up is one of my favorite units, Inquisitor Draxus with those 4 Custodian card. This is an auto-include for most of my list. When we put these two units together, we get a unit that has very deadly shooting into infantry units. Let's take a look at these two data sheets and their abilities and how they combine to be so good. So we have Draxus here. The Dirge Singer is the main weapon. It is anti-infantry 4, devastating wounds with assault, 18-inch range, 4 attacks on a 3-up, strength 4, AP 0, damage 2. So it's that 2 damage to devastating wounds you keep in mind, anti-infantry 4. Then we have the Psychic Tempest. It has sustain hits 2, 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 6, AP 0, damage 2. That one is not as scary, but is that Dirge Singer is what we're going to really look for when we combine these units together. And Draxus has a few abilities on her data sheet. She has the Psychic Veil. In your command phase, this Psyker can use this ability. If it does, roll 1d6. On a 1, this Psyker's unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 2+, until the start of your next command phase, this Psyker's unit can only be selected as a target of range attack if the attacking model is within 18 inches. So this gives you 18-inch lone op. And this can be very useful depending on the map and the opponent. If we can get her on objective far away from the enemy deployment, it can be very hard to shoot her off that objective. I don't like to have her guard the home objective unless I really need to. I want her to be in range of a lot of the midboard to take advantage of that anti-infantry shooting every turn if I can. The next ability is Authority of the Inquisition. She can just embark on any transports that her bodyguard. And then finally, Xenos Hunter. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, excluding Imperium and Chaos, add 1 to the hit roll. So any Xenos armies, if you're attacking with this unit, you get +1 to the hit roll. Will make a difference on those Custodian Guard who already hit on 2, but bringing Draxus up to hitting on 2s can make her even more potent. Now let's look at the Custodian Guard. I do have this sword and board on these ones, just so to make them a little tougher. They have 1 extra wound. The blade and the Guardian Spear are the same profile in shooting though, so I still will be able to shoot with this unit and just make it a little tankier with those shields. The Custodian Guard has 2 abilities. Stand Vigil for reroll the wound roll of 1, or the whole wound roll if on objective we control. Sentinel Storm allows us to shoot twice, once per game. The Custodian Guard's abilities combined with Draxus' weapons is what makes this unit so deadly into infantry. Her Dirge-Singer gun has the anti-infantry 4, devastating wounds. Combine it with Stand Vigil and Sentinel Storm. Get this unit on objective we control, and we can reroll the wound roll for all of her attacks, including that Psychic Tempest attack. And when we combine all these things together, we get a unit that is made to kill infantry units. We want to be shooting this unit when they are on objective we control. This brings up that anti-infantry potential by so much, allowing us to reroll any of those Dirge-Singer wound rolls and fish for those anti-infantry 4 devastating wounds. Then if we need to, we can shoot twice, once per game, allowing her to shoot both of her ranged attack profiles again. And then in the shield host, Archaeotech Munitions for 1 CP is great for this unit to add sustained 1 to the Custodian Guard's ranged weapons and to Draxus' Dirge-Singer. Her Psychic Tempest is already sustained hits too, and those do not stack. Even better in the phase when we use the Sentinel Storm ability to shoot twice with Archaeotech Munitions active. Multi-potentiality is fantastic for this unit. We do not have to worry about the opponent getting this unit stuck in engagement range. Now we can fall back, shoot and then charge or not charge to gain fights first. I put the sword and board on this unit instead of the Guardian Spears. With the 1000 points we are a bit limited. This way we have 2 tough infantry units in the list, with the Draxus unit able to use Vigilance Eternal to sticky objectives, since that is our only battle line unit. On to the last Custodes unit, the Venatari. If you have seen some of my recent list videos, you would think I didn't think the Venatari were any good. These are one of the best infantry attack units we have access to. I like to switch them back and forth between the Custodian Guard and the Venatari in the Shield Host Detachment. The Custodian Guard are the only unit in the Codex able to use Vigilance Eternal to sticky objectives. The Venatari are a great unit since the datasheet does not need as much stratagem support. Their ability, Swooping Dive, allows the unit to use the Rapid Ingress stratagem for 0 CP. If we have 2 units, we can use this ability multiple times in the same phase. Since the ability names Rapid Ingress for 0 CP, the Strike from the Skies ability gives the Venatari an all-game fallback, shoot, and charge, saving us from having to use multi-potentiality to fall back, shoot, and charge. Arcane Genetic Alchemy, great for protecting against mortal wounds. The fact that we can wait until the mortal wounds have been allocated, it is so much harder to bait the stratagem out of us. This is a great unit to punch up with. Sustain hits 1 or lethal hits from the Martial Kata Army rule, then from the Detachment rule, critical hits on 5 or an extra AP on the Venatari Lances that already have the Lance ability. These Venatari can be a threat to infantry and vehicles. I have equipped all 3 with the Venatari Lances. You could put 1 buckler to get 1 model up to the 4 wounds to soak more overall damage from overwatches, but that is more for a full-size unit of 6. The unit will have a total of 15 attacks in melee, hitting on 2s, strength 7, AP 2, damage 2 with the Lance ability for +1 to the wound roll if the Venatari have charge this turn. Then add those sustain hits 1 or lethal hits on 5s from Martial Mastery, or bring the Venatari up to AP 3. I have found that they can be a bit more swingy into the tougher units with a 2+ save or a 4+ invulnerable. Anything higher than toughness 7 will still be wounding these on 4s on the charge even with Lance. 3 is better for tearing apart anything toughness 7 or under. Allied unit, the Subductor Squad. This unit will stand on our home objective if the enemy has some deep strike or reserve threat. If not, we will use the Draxus Custodian Guard unit to stick our home objective with Vigilance Eternal. The Subductor Squad for 85 points is quite a bit more expensive than an MSU Psychona unit for 40 points for those prosecutors. This unit does bring some fantastic utility to the list. This unit has 11 models, 10 Subductors, and the K9. The unit does not have amazing shooting or melee. It does have a 4-up fight on death and melee, but the real power comes from the 4-up invulnerable. If we do not need this to hold the home objective, this is a great unit for holding objectives in no man's land, screening, or just to tie up an enemy unit in combat. 11 models with a 4-up invulnerable save will be hard to kill easily. In a smaller 1000 point game, will be even harder to take out with less assets on the board altogether. This unit, unlike the small Prosecutors unit, needs more than a few shots to take it out. We can't have a list named Knight Custodies without a knight in the list. The Warglaive has the Melt-A-Gun paired with the Thermal Spear. The unit should add some credible anti-tank to the list. With a movement of 12, toughness of 10, 3-up save, 5-up invulnerable, 12 wounds, leadership of 7, and a big OC of 8, the Armiger Warglaive will be a great attack unit as well as a utility unit. If the Warglaive has no quality targets, the fast movement and high OC will make this great for stealing objectives. It also has a good amount of melee threat with a strike or sweep profile. The strike profile has 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 10, AP 3, damage 3, with the sweep profile at 8 attacks, hitting on 3s, AP 2, damage 1. The Armiger Warglaive gives us a mobile unit that is deadly in shooting and melee. The Warglaive has the Deadly Demise D3 ability. Impetuous Glory is the main ability for the Armiger Warglaive. Each time this makes a charge move, until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by the model has sustained hits 1 ability. The Warglaive will not benefit from any of the shield host stratagems or the detachment rule. For 150 points, this is a cheaper anti-tank option, dollars-wise too, than the Caladius Grav tank in a 1000 point list. It also gives us a more general purpose unit for this 1000 point list. It can run up the board, take out enemy vehicles or monsters, or lurk around stealing objectives and ambushing units with its melee. I really like having one of these in a 1000 points list. It adds something interesting and adds something deadly. On to the final thoughts. The Armiger Warglaive is a new addition to my Custodes list. I think this should make an interesting unit for a 1000 point list. The list does not have a lot of secondary scoring, but with the list we can play quite aggressive to gain board control early, gain a large amount of primary scoring, and then grab as many secondary points as possible. The Bladechampion with Wardens, grab that center objective. The Custodian Guard unit can sticky objectives, leaving us a way to gain primary points without having to stand on objectives all game. The Venatari and the Bladechampion can be swapped out. I wanted speed and aggression as a theme of the shield host list, but like I said, you could put Valerian to that Bladechampion and some Custodian Guard and switch around some of the points a little bit. Hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more Warhammer content. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by.